Philippines, good evening. Daimbag karabi, masanto siya sa labi si kayo amin. Maya pa bengi keka, marahay na banggi sa inugubos, maupay nga gabi, haiyo nga tanan dida, maradyaw na duyom sa idjuhurot. Buenas noches, bismillahirrahmanirrahim, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Maayong gabi sa Tibok, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, up to Philippines, Sabah. Ako po si Erik Espina at ito ang inyong Republika. Well, tonight we're going to be discussing what is front and center in the national attention, which is the BBM disqualification petition against the presidential candidate now with the COMELEC. That's really all up to the COMELEC. And to be able to find out what are the legal points that we must be aware of, we're very fortunate to have Attorney Chong. Good evening, Attorney Chong.
Good evening, Konsihal. Magandang gabi po sa lahat. Mayang gabi sa diha sa sudad sa Cebu ug sa probinsya sa Cebu and all other Cebuano-speaking provinces. Mayang gabi.
As we are taping this program, taped us live just about an hour ago, Davao Mayor Sara Duterte has filed her COC as Vice President of the Lakas. Your thoughts initially, Attorney Glenn, on this new event. Was this predictable? Was this really part of the entire plan which was not supposed to be divulged? Your ears to the ground, talking to different sectors and individuals, what have you been hearing?
Actually, sir, I am privileged to get information that is really reliable. As early as Friday, I was already aware. Of course, this did not come. I'll make it clear. Hindi ito galing sa kampo ni Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio or kay BBM. But this is independent. I was aware that tatakbo si Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio as Vice President, and then mag-coalition na lang silang dalawa ni BBM. And then actually, I wanted to post last night sana isang red and isang green on my Facebook. And then I postponed it. Sabi ko Sunday na lang kasi I was expecting Monday pa siya mag-file. Naunahan na niya kanina. So, that's it. I already knew that Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio will be running for Vice President. Then well, of course, because they are not challenging each other, hindi naman sila magkalaban, so they can actually merge si BBM for president, si Sara Duterte for vice president, and besides they're friends, so may synergy na yung dalawa, and they have personal relations.
The next most obvious question, Attorney Chong, is under what party will Senator Bongbong Marcos be filing under? It will be under the Federalist Party, or will there be some kind of a coalition between Lakas and the Federalist Party? How does it move on in the next few days?
Yes, I suppose that BBM will stick to the Partido Federal ng Pilipinas, his political party, because that is what yun yung final niya yun yung sinabi niya when he filed. At yung kona niya, Certificate of Nomination and Acceptance, that is with Partido Federal ng Pilipinas. And I don't believe that BBM will ditch his political party in favor of Lakas CMD. On the other hand, si Mayor Sara has filed under Lakas CMD. So each of them will be coming from different political parties, but there is nothing, wala akong nakita na hindrance or hurdle na mag-coalition itong dalawa, the PFP and the Lakas CMD.
How do you see now the fate of the PDP Laban, which is supposed to be the party of the father, President Rodrigo Duterte? How will the dynamics work out here? With Mayor Sara Duterte running for Vice President, and then maybe, as you have said, Senator Bongbong Marcos will be the presidential candidate of the dynamic duo. So how do you see the movement of PDP? What is your fearless forecast, so to speak?
Well, I think PDP Laban, because it's split into two factions, there might be a possibility that they will merge together and come up with, that's the worst that can happen. Pwede naman, si Senator Bongo will withdraw because hindi naman niya pwedeng kalabanin yung anak ng Pangulo. Di ba? On the other hand, pwede ding mangyari that they will merge with the group of Pacquiao, come up with a single slate. That's the worst case scenario that I see. And come up with a presidential and vice presidential candidate.
What do you think will happen to
BBM-Sara and the rest?
What do you think will happen to the candidacy of Senator Bato de la Rosa as well?
Well, I think si Bato is merely a placeholder. They were hoping, alam naman natin yan, they were hoping that Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio will run for president under the PDP Laban COSI wing. So that's why he was, di ba, kung matatandaan natin, sinasabi niya palagi, tinawagan lang siya, pinapunta sa COMELEC at pinag-file ng kanyang certificate of candidacy. In other words, it did not come from him, it did not come from his heart. Tinawagan lang siya. Sa matter of fact, sabi niya, muntik na siyang hindi makaabot because he was still a bit far away from COMELEC. Nung tinawagan siya, pinapunta siya doon para mag-file siya. In other words, there's an admission that he was merely a placeholder. He was not really serious. Hindi siya seryoso. And the voters also did not take him seriously. As a matter of fact, yung numbers niya are very low. So, consistently low. So, because he was placed there as a placeholder, so in a way, he is dispensable. Pwede siya palitan. Pwede nga, yun nga ang sinabi ko, the worst case scenario would be mag-merge yung PDP Laban, COSI, and Pacquiao faction, and come up with a single state if they want to challenge the BBM-Sara tandem. Because for us, that would be the dream team.
As a keen political advisor, and you yourself, your views are well respected. What do you think is the future of PDP now? Do you see the next administration being the Lakas will be the majority party? Will it be the Partido Federalista? What lays ahead for the PDP? Or do you see now the usual phenomenon of so many politicians jumping ship eventually and moving their alliances towards or affiliation to the Lakas or the Partido Federalista?
Well, I suppose that the majority party that will come out after the elections in 2022 ay ang koalisyon ng Partido Federal ng Pilipinas and the Lakas CMD. So, of course, there are many variables, political variables that will come into play that we may not be able to anticipate at this time. Pero ang mangyayari niyan is itong PDP, whether that is the COSI faction or the Pacquiao faction, they will be decimated even before the new president takes office on June 30. They will be disseminated. All the rest of itong mga politiko na to, save for a few, will be jumping to the party in power. That's normal. That's expected. That is the most likely thing to happen.
Ang pulong din sa Cebu kuno mahimo kunong PDP labay na di na kuno PDP laban pagkuan sa mga bagong nahitabo kuno mahimong ingunana na lang, no? So what you're saying is decimation, pila na lang siguro kalugas ang mabilin siguro, no? Siguro ang mga hardliners.
Sir, just like what happened to the Liberal Party, they had super majority during the time of the former president, Noynoy Aquino, and then after umupo si President Digong, decimated sila. Kundi na lang ang natira.
Do you see the partnership of Senator Bongbong and Mayor Sara as the worst nightmare perhaps for the opposition, or would Vice President Leni Robredo be correct in her valid observation that this would clearly define the lines?
Actually, with BBM and Sara running together, although from different political parties, and I say we could actually choose them as our tandem for 2022 because they are not opponents of each other, di ba? BBM is for president, Sara is for vice president. Now, especially kung walang manggugulo sa PDP Laban faction, whether that is Kusi or well, assuming na Pacquiao will still run, they would all be labeled as opposition. Itong lahat. So there would only be one administration slate, and that would be si BBM and Sara, unless however may manggugulo at maglagay ng another team, ostensibly for the administration as well. But then, sa tingin ko naman, it is solid yung BBM-Sara tandem. So, ang mangyayari is that the opposition will be left to scavenge whatever be the votes for the opposition. Paghahati-hatian nila yun. Statistically, they will never win. Hindi sila mananalo. Kasi marami sila dun unless the opposition will also consolidate. Which is malabo.
This brings me to my next question. As you said, regarding the consolidation of the opposition, do you see, next to perhaps Bongo or Senator Bato de la Rosa, do you see any other major personalities eventually withdrawing from the presidential or vice presidential race? And do you think they would be opting their withdrawal in favor for another candidate or set of personalities?
Sir, that would not be far-fetched. Pwedeng mangyari yun that some of the candidates in the opposition will withdraw for purposes of consolidation and then throw their support to the other. Especially pag makita nila na mababa masyado talaga yung numbers nila and it's not improving.
If you look at your crystal ball, do you see a presidential candidate withdrawing and eventually throwing his hat in support of perhaps the Bongbong and Sara tandem?
To be sure, Bato will withdraw.
Okay.
He was just placed there as a placeholder, so he has served this purpose.
Okay.
You see, he has already served this purpose, so he will be the most likely to withdraw.
How about Senator Bongo as well?
Pardon?
Senator Bongo as well.
It is possible that he will withdraw as vice president, but it remains to be seen. He might run for president.
Okay. And then any other personalities that may withdraw at this point, or maybe by January, after considering reconsidering his candidacy, would he possibly support the Bongbong Sara ticket?
I don't think that someone from the opposition will withdraw in favor of Bongbong and Sara. It could be probably in favor of one among the ranks in the opposition.
You do not see Manny Pacquiao was withdrawing?
He may withdraw, but he will file for another position.
Now, my next question is, you just mentioned that it would be best for the opposition to consolidate. And eventually, of course, there will be some withdrawals from their candidacy. But as far as the Sara Bongbong ticket is concerned, would you prefer them to stay as they are and not withdraw in order to increase the chances of their victory?
What do you mean by would you prefer them to stay where they are?
In short, status quo. Nobody withdraws. As far as the opposition is concerned, the other candidates, they'll continue with their candidacy because there is an observation that if there will be some withdrawals, the voters and the supporters of these presidential candidates who withdrew, they might seek their own other presidential candidates. So better to have so many parties running.
Actually, if a candidate from the opposition withdraws, hindi naman, it's not 100% guarantee that the supporters of that candidate will all support 100% doon sa kung yung pinaboran ng nag-withdraw na kandidato, di ba? If for example, tayong dalawa, magkatunggali, sir, I withdraw in favor of you. It does not mean that all my supporters will go directly to you and vote for you, 100%. So, pwedeng mahati din yun because they may not like you. So they will support me, but they will not like you. So, they will be, sasabihin nila, nag-withdraw yung kandidato natin. But we don't like that candidate na pinabura ng kandidato natin. Because we don't like him or her, dito na lang tayo kay Bongbong at Sara. Anyway, this is the team that's going to win. So it's dangerous also for the opposition to that.
Okay.
May risk. There's a risk.
Okay, Attorney Glenn Chong, we're going to pause for a few reminders, but here's a question I'd like to ask you. Do you also see, with this new tandem, with this new political reality, that there will be local candidates from opposing sides, even if they come from opposing sides, running for the same position at the local level, eventually supporting such a formidable tandem as Bongbong and Sara? That's one. And number two, do you see as well opposition stalwarts eventually rethinking their position and deciding to jump ship and also join this so-called bandwagon when we return? Okay, nagbabalik po ating programang Republika. Kausap pa rin po natin si Atty. Glenn Chong. Ang titulo po ng ating programa ay The Bongbong Disqualification. Pero meron tayong iniwang mga ilang katanungan. Una sa lahat, nakikita ba ni Atty. Glenn Chong na yung mga magkakatunggali sa lokal na level, posible bang magkalaban sila dito sa baba, pero sa taas ay dahil medyo ang paningin ng karamihan ay malakas itong tandem ni Bongbong at ni Sara, ay yun na lang ang dadalhin nila bilang Pangulo at Pangalawang Pangulo?
Actually, sir, that is very possible. And I would be surprised kung hindi mangyari yan.
Okay.
I would be surprised kung hindi mangyari yan because doon kasi sa baba, in the field, yung mga kandidato closest to the voters, kailangan kasi nila magmayabang eh. That's part of projecting power. Diba? That's part of projecting power. You are with the winning team. Kasi kung ako, I'll be blunt about this. Si Bato, ito na si Bato ang example natin because he is merely a placeholder. If I am the candidate down there sa baba, mayoral candidate, at ang kandidato ko presidente ay si Bato de la Rosa, and then everybody knows that he is just a mere placeholder, somehow apektado yung kandidatura ko. I could not convince more people. Whereas if ay kakampanya ko ay si Bongbong Marcos at Sara Duterte, mas marami ako makuhang botante to vote for me as well. So I would not be surprised kung hindi mangyari yan, but it's more likely to happen. Bordering on it's a probability bordering on certainty that it will happen.
Another question, how about opposition stalwarts? For example,
that is also very
members of the Liberal Party, will they reconsider their position and say, let's just join and join with this bandwagon? Is that a possibility?
Especially, sir, if the politician is facing a tough battle there sa locality niya. Political parties are merely for convenience. They would ditch them at the first instance in order to survive politically. So, I would not be surprised also if may mga hardcore opposition, nasa opposition, hardcore opposition na, especially sa periphery, malayo na sa center, there in Mindanao, in the Visayas, na pwedeng bumaliktad. But kung sasabihin mong stalwart ng partido, it might not happen.
Okay.
Pero kung mga leaders ng, especially sabi ko in the periphery, outside of Metro Manila, outside of Luzon, maybe to Visayas and Mindanao, it's likely to happen.
Okay. At least we were able to touch on the developing events of today. But everybody, I've always been hearing this. They're worried about the disqualification case, the petition against Bongbong Marcos, filed with the COMELEC. The first petition, Si UST Dean Nilo Divina said the 77 or so pages is mostly ad hominem. Tama ba yung pananaw niya doon or meron talagang basihan, meron talagang ebidensya doon sa unang petisyon na inihain sa COMELEC?
Linawin muna natin, sir, yung grounds for disqualification.
Okay.
There are actually two grounds. There are actually two petitions that you can file.
Yes, yes.
One is a petition for disqualification.
Okay.
One is a petition for disqualification proper. Disqualification proper ito, which can be filed at any day after the filing of the certificate of candidacy, but not later than the day after proclamation. The day of proclamation, rather.
Okay.
So, mas mahaba ito. Ito yung petition for disqualification proper.
Okay.
Na sometimes we merge this with petition for cancellation of COC.
Yes.
So, magkaiba po yan.
Okay.
Yung petition for disqualification proper, ito yung you need to file. You can file this at any time after the filing of the COC, but not later than the day of proclamation.
Okay.
Kasi pag na-proclaim na kasi, full protest na yan. Election protest na yan. So you get what I mean?
Okay.
Meron siyang time frame.
Oo.
So, cancellation, filing of COC, until the day of proclamation. After proclamation, election protest na yan.
Okay.
On the other hand,
okay, yung final nila ngayon, is that for cancellation of COC? Or
yes, that's the other. That's the other.
Okay.
Petition for cancellation of COC, which should be filed within 25 days from the filing of COC of the subject of the respondent candidate.
Okay.
So, kaya nga ang deadline nitong petition for cancellation of COC is November 2.
Okay.
Kasi I think si BBM ng kanyang certificate of candidacy October 5.
Okay.
So within 25 days, October 30. October 30 is a Saturday.
Oo.
So 31, 1, 2 nila final because that's the next working day kasi ang 1 is a holiday.
Oo.
So ang deadline niya would be October 5 si BBM nag-file, 25 days maximum, 30 ang deadline. It's a Saturday, so 31 Sunday, 1 is a holiday, 2 sila nag-file.
Okay.
So ito yung petition for cancellation of COC, and then yung iba, they filed a petition in intervention.
Yes, yes.
Because they cannot file a separate petition anymore kasi lagpas na ng deadline.
Yes, oo.
Diba? Lagpas na ng deadline. I mean, I'm referring to the two petitions. The petitions under Attorney Duterte.
Okay.
Ito yung abogado ng una.
Okay.
And the petition under Howard Calleja.
Okay.
Ito yung pangalawa.
Oo.
Yung kina Howard Calleja, itong mga abogado na lang ang pangalanan natin because mahirap yung mga grupo-grupo, dami.
Dami-dami, yes. Mga task force detainees, mga ganun, oo.
Yes. So the petition and the Calleja petition, yung Calleja petition was filed after November 2. Therefore, deadline na. Hindi sila pwedeng mag-file ng separate petition. So kanila, petition in intervention. So sumali sila doon sa earlier petition ni Duterte. Now, that will be subject to the discretion of the Commission on Elections.
Pwede ba yun? Pwede ba sila, lumampas na sila sa panahon, pwede ba nilang ano yun? Or that's up to the COMELEC to decide na i-consolidate?
Yes, the rules provide na pwede kang mag-file ng petition in intervention even if after the deadline, for as long as yung in-intervenan mo ay na-filed on time. Kasi kung yung Duterte petition was filed beyond the period, then automatically wala ding saysay ang petition in intervention. So dapat na-file yun on time. And it was filed on time. So pwede silang mag-intervene doon. But the intervention is subject to the discretion of the Commission on Elections. The division na assigned doon.
Okay, nabanggit niyo po yung division. No? Dalawa yan sila. And then merong sinabi na pag nagkaroon ng split decision, meron pang isasama na parang pangatlo sa COMELEC. How do you see that?
Actually, sir, the president has just appointed another commissioner, so I think they are already full. Kompleto na naman sila kasi dati may isang kulang dyan.
Okay.
Kaya yung second division to which the case was ruffled.
Tatlo na sila.
To which the case was ruffled. Dalawa lang. So ngayon, tatlo na.
Tatlo na, yes.
I don't know whether kung rules ng COMELEC is that kung automatically i-assign yung bago sa second division o mag-reshuffling sila.
Okay. Etong kaso
But
kay...
eventually,
Oo.
tatlong commissioner pa rin will be making the initial finding on the petition. Initial because that will be subject to appeal to the COMELEC and Bank and ultimately to the Supreme Court.
Okay, basically the salient points no to briefly on the petition yung sa November 2, sinasabi daw nila si Bongbong Marcos is not eligible to run for any public office since the Quezon City Regional Trial Court convicted him in 1995 for failure to file income tax returns. How are we supposed to understand this?
Ang final kasi nila, sir, is a petition for cancellation of COC. It has only one exclusive ground. Yung isang ground lang yan kumpara sa disqualification.
Okay.
So, ang ground dyan, exclusive ground is any material representations contained therein as required by law is false.
Okay.
So, yun. That any material representations contained therein as required by law is false. That is why ang contention nila is that nung sinabi ni
Na-qualified siya.
Yun, have you been are you eligible to run for public office? Are you eligible to run for public office? O syempre, itinig ni BBM na yes. And then they said that's false. Yun ang contention ng mga petitioner. That's false because hindi totoo na he is eligible to run for public office. So dito na naman tayo sa eligibility, which now touches on the grounds for disqualification.
Okay.
So kaya nga sinabi ko magulo siya kasi parang ang tanong is are you qualified, are you eligible to run for public office or for the office in which you are running?
Yes.
So chinek ni BBM. Sabi nila that is any material representations which is contained therein as required by law is false. Kasi sabi na false because you have been convicted. Ang sabi nila si BBM was convicted by the Regional Trial Court of tax evasion and failure to file income tax return.
Okay.
But we have to clarify that on appeal, sa Court of Appeals, BBM was exonerated. He was acquitted on the issue of tax evasion.
Okay.
On the issue of tax evasion, BBM was acquitted. And on the issue of failure to file income tax return, walang imprisonment na inimpose.
Okay.
There was no imprisonment imposed there, and the accessory penalty of disqualification from public office, from holding public office, was not also mentioned in the same resolution.
Okay,
wala yun doon. Okay. Fine lang ang nakalagay.
Okay, Atty. Glenn, tanong ko lang sa inyo, para lang maintindihan ng mga nakikinig din sa atin. Ano yung pagkakaiba? What is the difference between tax evasion and failure to file your income tax? Para lang maintindihan nila kasi to the ordinary person, parang pareho lang yun yata no? Bakit pinaghihiwalay ng batas, no?
Yes, sir. Good point. And I would like to answer that question also in answer to the contention of former Justice Antonio Carpio.
Okay.
Kasi sa kanyang opinion piece recently, which I was not able to reply sa Facebook, I'm taking the opportunity here. Sinabi niya na the failure to file income tax return, ang sinabi ng desisyon na may tax deficiency, it's itself tax evasion.
Okay.
So you see, sabi niya, the failure to file income tax return resulted in a deficiency of taxes. Therefore, there was tax evasion. Mali po yan.
Okay.
Maling-mali yan. Because ang tax evasion has certain elements.
Okay.
May elements ang tax evasion. Okay. Following United States ruling sa Internal Revenue Service ng US, they specify because normally we follow the jurisprudence in the United States. The jurisprudence in the United States says that tax evasion has three distinct elements.
Okay.
Una, existence of a tax deficiency. Pangalawa, there's an attempt to evade or defeat the tax.
Okay.
Ang third, willfulness. So ito yung tatlong elements of tax evasion which is not elements in failure to file income tax return.
Okay.
So kaya magkaiba yung failure to file income tax return. So, for example, dito muna tayo sa failure to file income tax return. Under the 1977 National Internal Revenue Code, required tayo mag-file ng income tax return.
Tayong lahat, more or less.
But in the National Internal Revenue Code of 1997, only those specified are required to file income tax return. So in other words, kung wala kang kita in the Philippines or within and without the Philippines, you are not required to file income tax return. So, because BBM was tried in 1977 in IRC, so merong obligation to file an income tax return. But then, wala dyan ang elements of existence of a tax deficiency, element of willfulness, attempt to evade or defeat a tax. Hindi yan, wala na. The fact that you fail to file an income tax return, you have already committed the offense. But in tax evasion, you need to prove these three elements. Existence of a tax deficiency, of course, sige, sabihin natin, sa kaso ni BBM, may existence of tax deficiency because he was required to pay a fine. No, nandun yan sa decision. BBM was required to pay tax deficiency. But tax deficiency alone does not mean tax evasion.
It does not mean you are attempting to evade or to defeat.
Yes. Walang
willfulness.
In the ruling, wala ding attempt to evade the tax or to defeat a tax. And there is no willingness to do it. Ano ba yung attempt to evade? Attempt to evade or defeat a tax. Example, meron akong 100 million sa bank account ko. Nilipat ko sa aking kapatid. Tinago ko yun. 50 million nilagay ko doon sa kanya. 50 million na lang natira sa akin. And then 50 million lang dineclare ko sa aking balance sheet. Sa aking personal balance sheet. So that there is already an attempt to evade the tax. For example, another example, bumili ka ng bahay. The bahay is worth 200 million. Pinalagay mo lang 20 million ang value for capital gains purposes. That is an attempt to evade or defeat a tax, and it is willful because ikaw ang nagsabi, sabihin mo 20 million lang ang ilagay mo dyan. So these are the elements na wala sa failure to file income tax return. These are the elements that are not found in the case of Bongbong Marcos. Why? Because the court acquitted him on charges of tax evasion. So if the Court of Appeals acquitted BBM on the charges of tax evasion, then therefore these elements are not found there. There might be existence of a tax deficiency, but there is no attempt to evade or defeat a tax, and there is no willfulness. So malinaw yan.
Sa pagkaalam ninyo, no, of course, Vice President Leni Robredo said that, I have nothing to do with these cases being filed. Pero sa pagkaalam ninyo, nakangiti kayo. Sabi din ni Atty. Calleja na he is there in his personal capacity. Do we believe them? Pwede ba natin silang paniwalaan na talagang ano lang ito, on their part, kanya-kanya lang ito. There is no orchestration, so to speak. From your perspective.
Sir, it's hard to believe the camp of Leni Robredo that she has nothing to do with it or they have nothing to do with it. Kasi ang mga nag-file ng petition are yung mga human rights victims, allegedly human rights victims. And then kung matatandaan ninyo, it all started with the opinion piece of Justice Carpio.
I'll cut you there, Attorney Glenn, para medyo mainit yung usapan natin. Republika will return after these few reminders. Nagbabalik po ating programa ang Republika. Kausap pa rin po natin si Atty. Glenn Chong. So, sorry to cut you right in the middle, Atty. Glenn. We have a commercial. So, go ahead. No? Was there some sort of orchestration, political orchestration here from the camp of Vice President Leni Robredo, or was this just all voluntarism, so to speak?
The voluntarism is far-fetched. I know this is kind of controversial, but I believe that someone was orchestrating it, but not necessarily from the yellow camp. The orchestration did not really come from the yellow camp. They became active cooperators of the instigator. So, linawin natin. May instigator na hindi yellow. May instigator na hindi yellow. And then, of course, this instigator reached out to the yellow kasi kailangan niya gamitin yung yellow. Hindi siya pwedeng siya kasi mabubuking. So, they reached out to this yellow, and then yun na nagsimula. Nagsimula ito sa kay Justice Carpio in his opinion piece about mga 2 days before the Halloween.
Okay.
Mga 27 or 28 ng October. 27 or 28. Just before the deadline, lumabas yung opinion piece ni Justice Carpio. And we know that Justice Carpio is the convener of One Sambayan.
Okay.
Diba? One Sambayan.
Oh.
And One Sambayan endorsed Leni Robredo.
Oh.
Ito yung number 1 backer eh. Ito yung number 1 backer ni Leni Robredo.
Oh.
So, the convener of One Sambayan came out with this piece, and then 4 days later, nag-file or mga 5 days, less than a week, nag-file yung mga grupo na yan. So, and then afterwards, si Justice Carpio keep on writing about it.
Okay.
And then pumasok naman yung grupo ni Howard Calleja.
Okay.
And Howard Calleja is also a convener of One Sambayan.
Mhm.
So therefore, hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na walang kinalaman ang kampo ni Leni Robredo there because the group that is spearheading her campaign pushed her to run was One Sambayan. And 2 of their conveners are actively engaged in this drama. So hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na wala siyang kinalaman o it may not have originated from her. It may have originated from the instigator na sinasabi ko, and then who reached out to them, silang ginamit. At nagpagamit naman sila.
I'm curious about the instigator, no? I'm smiling and you will end up smiling, but kinakabahan ako dito sa instigator na ito kasi baka masyadong malakas ito at baka mabago yung desisyon ng COMELEC. Itong instigator na ito, baka makialam sa desisyon. Your words.
I think you know already who I refer to.
Oh, yes.
But they would rather be warned that hindi nyo pwedeng gawin yung gusto nyong gawing maruming pamumulitika. You cannot do that anymore to Bongbong Marcos because malinaw, as I have said, walang grounds actually to cancel the certificate of candidacy of BBM. Under the petition for cancellation, wala, and in the disqualification. First, because hindi na convicted. Sa disqualification nga pala, sir, ang ground for disqualification, hindi na natin isama yung iba ha, yung election offense, yung insane, hindi na. If you have been convicted of a crime, if you have been sentenced to a crime where the penalty is 18 months or more of imprisonment or a crime involving moral turpitude, ito yung grounds for disqualification proper na hindi ko nasabi kanina.
Wala ko bang, is there no moral turpitude dito sa issue na ito, dun sa mga petitions na inakyat?
Tax evasion is a crime involving moral turpitude. Failure to file income tax return is not.
Okay.
Hindi yon. So, malinaw yon ha. Failure to file income tax return is not a crime involving moral turpitude. Ang tax evasion. At as I have said kanina, kahit bali-baligtarin mo man, hindi mahulog si BBM doon sa tax evasion. Because the Court of Appeals already ruled na walang tax evasion dyan.
Okay.
Wala yung mga tatlong elements that I have repeatedly said, wala yun. Kaya nga, BBM was acquitted on the charges of tax evasion.
Okay.
So, hindi rin siya nasentensyahan to a crime where the penalty is imprisonment of 18 months or more. Because walang imprisonment doon sa kanyang resolution. And finally, with respect to ito hindi natin na pag-usapan, the accessory penalty of disqualification from holding public office. Now, under the 1977 NIRC, Section 252, Paragraph C, nakalagay doon na ang absolute perpetual disqualification from holding public office, kaakibat niya yung dismissal from public service.
Okay.
Now, if you also look at the revised rules on administrative cases in the civil service, ito nakalagay. Dismissal from public service carries with it the penalty of absolute disqualification from public office. So in other words, pag na-dismiss ka, kaakibat yun.
Okay.
Tangay yun. It's dismissal from public service plus perpetual disqualification. However, si Bongbong Marcos was not dismissed from public service. Therefore, the perpetual disqualification from public office is not automatic.
Okay. Pero may tanong ko lang sa inyo. The penalties, fine, and then the criminal aspect, may mga nagsasabing hindi yan end or, nakalagay lang end daw ang nakalagay. How do you see that?
Well, what is not in the resolution is clearly not imposed. Yun lang ang sasabihin ko. If imprisonment is not in the resolution, then it was not imposed. Oh. So ang nakalagay doon, fine lang eh.
Mhm.
So therefore, let's leave it at that. And besides, the resolution, the decision has already become final.
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily follow na kung, kasi may mga nagsasabi na just because ano lang ito, fine lang ito, yung accessory penalties hindi kasama. It is supposed to be kasama daw yung accessory penalties even if it is not mentioned daw.
Yeah, they quoted a
Yes.
decision of the Supreme Court.
Mm.
But I believe that is merely obiter dictum.
Okay.
It's merely obiter dictum. It's just a side comment.
By
but
the
it
way
is
yun,
not
parang by
in
the way para sa publiko.
Obiter dictum is merely an expression of opinion by a
Okay.
judge. It does not constitute precedent.
Mm.
So, hindi siya yung ruling. Kasi, if it was really the ruling, dapat they should have, I was just looking at the report of Rappler.
Mm.
They should have founded on it na ito yon. But it was just mentioned in passing, so I was led to believe that this is merely obiter dictum. Because the accessory penalty should also be imposed in the same resolution.
Yun, kaya yun nga ang isa sa mga punto para lang maklaro, Attorney Glenn. Kasi sinasabi nila, being an accessory penalty, the same need not be written in the judgment of conviction. Yun nga, yung binanggit ninyo, they are citing a Supreme Court decision that it is unnecessary to express the accessory penalties in the sentence daw. Pero yung sabi ninyo, it is just an obiter dictum. This is not what you're saying.
Yes, it is just an obiter dictum. It does not constitute precedent. As a matter of fact, hindi yan ginagamit ni Justice Carpio as a ground. Ang sa kanyang argument is automatic ang disqualification. Automatic yung disqualification upon conviction. Ang sabi ko doon, it's not automatic because it can become automatic only if there is dismissal from public service. Because as I have said, kaakibat siya. Yung perpetual disqualification is kaakibat ng disqualification from public office, from public service.
Mhm.
Walang dismissal si BBM. Hindi siya dinismiss from public service.
There are some
So therefore,
there are some candidates who are asking from Karkar and all the other places, ano ba yung epekto na parang tinago, I'm using a strong word of course, no? Tinago yung parang qualification niya to become a candidate daw kasi hindi sinabi yung regarding dun sa conviction. What is the position there? How should we be able to explain that?
what do you mean by tinago? You mean tinago?
Yung wala siyang, nung nag-file siya ng COC, wala siyang sinabi na meron siyang conviction or that in that sense, mako-cover siya sa some kind of a disqualification to run for public office.
Precisely, the certificate of candidacy asked him if he was eligible to run for public office, and he clicked yes.
Oo.
So there was no obligation for him to disclose that he was convicted for failure to file income tax return. Because in the first place, it is not a ground for a disqualification kasi hindi naman siya nasintensyahan to 18 months and above.
Okay.
And it was not also a crime involving moral turpitude.
Okay.
Because failure to file income tax return lang yan, hindi yan tax evasion. As I've said, tax evasion is worse.
Okay.
But
Okay, go ahead.
it's very clear, he was acquitted on tax evasion.
Okay. Bakit, ito ang tanong, bakit nung tumakbo siya, pagka-senador, pagka-vice-presidente, hindi na ilabas ito? This did not become an issue as far as his candidacy was concerned. Bakit kaya lang ito lumalabas?
Sir, I should credit that to the researchers of the instigator and the opposition.
Okay.
It's to their credit na hinalungkat nila yan ngayon, but they did not do it when he ran for senator, he ran for governor, he ran for senator, governor. During those times, I think
And
he
vice
also ran
president
for
also.
president.
Oo.
Yes.
Oo.
Hindi nila hinalungkat yan. Hinalungkat nila ngayon na lang. So maybe that the instigator is desperate enough.
Okay. And then so, it's because he's running for president, that's what you're saying. So they're really hard-pressed to be able to stop his candidacy. Ganun ba yun?
No, I think, sir, nakita nila yun na wherever BBM goes, there's so many people. Yesterday nga lang in Batangas, he was mobbed by the people there. At pag pinukumpara mo yung reception kay Lenny Robredo and BBM, malayong malayo. So in a way, the surveys in which shows that si BBM is way ahead of the second runner, of the second placer, is validated by what is happening right in the ground, in the field. Nakikita mo, mas dinumog kung sa ato pang sinunod, gidumog si BBM kaysa si Lenny. Si Lenny gilangaw, si BBM ginumog sa mga tao.
Okay, so mo lagi na ako ang gikahadlokan sa ubang mga tao, who are these individuals who is in sub rosa nga di lang nato masulti, but how far are they willing to go? Because the way things are going, there are some individuals that are worried about really the candidacy of Senator Bongbong Marcos, because they're looking at the COMELEC. Nasa kamay talaga ng COMELEC ito ngayon, Attorney Glenn Chong?
Actually, sir, I would like to assure everyone who supports BBM, who believes BBM, in BBM, if the COMELEC the second division will cancel the certificate of candidacy, pwede pa namang maapila yan sa Commission and Bank. And from there, it can be appealed to the Supreme Court via certiorari, petition for certiorari. Mm-hmm. So, pag may restraining order, wala silang magawa kundi to continue with the candidacy of BBM. But I don't think that people will allow it na hayaan nila yung ganitong maruming manipulasyon. This is actually maruming manipulasyon. So, it just might expose the instigator. The instigator will have to take it at great risk to himself.
You mentioned the Supreme Court. Meron ding mga tao nagsasabi na yung instigator, yun din ang instigator sa Supreme Court decision na natalo si Senator Bongbong Marcos sa pagka-Vice President niya. We're talking riddles here, no? But more or less, maybe our people can understand what we're saying. Pero same group lang daw ang gumalaw din sa Supreme Court para matalo sa pagka-presidente, pagka-Vice President si Senator Bongbong.
Actually, sir, they are really... They don't want a revolution in their hands. I don't think that people will allow it the second time around. And ang tingin ko kasi, itong grupo na to, nakalatag na yung dayaan nila. So that's why they want to run by hook or by crook. Mm-hmm. So, and this happening now with BBM and Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio teaming up together, it threw a monkey wrench on their plans. Mahihirapan silang mandaya at this time. So, yung ginawa nilang balak for a long time, nasira yun with this development now. So I would expect that they would do something about this disqualification, but then again, the people will not allow.
Okay, as a final word, Attorney Glenn Chong, please address the public, especially the Cebuanos who are listening to you at this moment.
Actually, Kuya Erik, gusto ko magpasalamat una sa atong mga kaigsunan diha sa Cebu o sa probinsya. Niatong 2019 ning dagan ko pagka-senador, dili ba? And Cebu City and Cebu Province were my biggest vote. The bulk of my votes came from Cebu City and Cebu Province. And I really thank you. Dinha ako nagdako sa siyudad sa Cebu. Gikan pa dinha ko gipanganak. Although nag-congressman ko sa Biliran, nag-congressman ko sa Biliran, kamong probinsya, pero din ako gipanganak sa Cebu, din ako nagtako, din ako nagtubo. Isag asa ko rin mong lugar ibutang sa Cebu, di ko mabaa. I know, we have houses there. I usually go there every Christmas, and I have a lot of friends there. So magpasalamat ko sa akong isig kasubuanon. Pero ang ako lang hangyo ka ninyo, I know that BBM lost heavily in 2016 din sa Cebu, sa syudad o sa probinsya. But kay ba ko nga ang atong eleksyon kitikas nining mga tao nga nagkontrol sa mathematics sa COMELEC. Mm-hmm. But why laing kandidato? Misaad ka na ko, kalimpyuhon na to ang atong election system. Mm-hmm. Whether kung kinsa man ang imong kandidatong gustong ibutar, gustong pilion, white chance sa kung pikason ng atong eleksyon. Si Kuya Erik, si Konsehal, already who knows me about this. Itong akining akong advocacy to fight for clean and honest elections because that is a fight for you and for me. Pareho ta. We are on the same boat. This fight is not for me and for BBM alone. It's for you, for all of us, especially atong mga tag-igsunan sa Cebu, sa syudad, sa Cebu, sa probinsya. So, kung malimpyo na ito ang atong eleksyon, siguro tanan sa atong problema, politikanhon, cultural, economic, masulbad. Tungod kay kung ang atong eleksyon ibaligya lang mura nag-isda og karne diyan sa atong merkado. Wa gyud tay kapaingnan for pirmi gyud ang pildi tanan mga kaigsuonan.
Attorney Glenn, akong ipasundayag nimo, no? Akong ipaapil lang ni. Was it ever in your imaginings mo nang gitawag og final to the final question ni akong gibuhat, no? Party list, wala gyud kakahuna-una butag party list kaysa siguro sa mga nakuha nimong boto adtong pagka-senador, siguro party list sud nakasiguro kayo.
Actually, kung party sila, pwede ko makapadaog og tulo ka congressman.
Mao na gina.
With my votes before. Pero ang ako god is musuod na sad ko sa election. Actually katong panahon nga ning dagan ko, it was my curtain call actually.
Okay.
Gusto na ako magpaibaw sa katawhan nga. Muundang nako kaysa napulo nako katuig kasi away aning company kong smart mati gikapoy nako. Naubos na ang akong tanang effort. Wa ko'y dag-anan. Kung di ko ninyo suportahan, wala ko'y mahimo. Pero at that time, it was my curtain call. Katapusan na nila ko. Undang na ko. Pagkahuman, gipatay nila ang akong personal aid, si Richard Santillan. Gipatay sa mga sure. Para lang yun ko hadlokon. Ining sindikato nga company kong Smartmatic. So, from then on, ngayon ko, di ko mo atras. So, imbis noon nga mo atras ko, padayon ko. Pero this time, dili sa akong mudagan, kay bawo ko, nga daghan sa akong mga supporter ning gasto og dako. Walay pulos mo dagan ta, nga tikaso na sa tapat sa tapusan.
Pareho ta.
Ako dili na lang sa kumudagan karong panahon na. I would not want you to spend your time, your money, your effort. I know them, I saw them, I felt them. Pero di mo na ako pagastuhon kay di ko wa ko magdali. Ug di ko kumamatay, di ko makalimpyo og pwesto.
Sakto.
Ang ako is malimpyo na to ang atong sistema sa election. And only one candidate has ever promised me that. And that's Bongbong Marcos.
Okay.
So, mao na ang biggest selling point nga akong mapaabot kaninyong mga kaigsunan. Dili ta magbasol. Kung ato ning pilion si Bongbong Marcos ug malimpyo ang atong election system, makapili tag mga mayor, congressman, governor at tinud-anay magserbisyo sa atong katawan.
Thank you very much, Attorney Glenn Chong, for those words and spending 50 odd minutes with us. Hinaot makapuputag pila ka mga mabulawong mga pananaw o mga punto sa imong mga pinulungan. Thank you very much in behalf of Republika. Daghang salamat. And as always,
thank you, sir.
As always, palagi kong sinasabi, sana ito'y maging lunggati ng Pilipino at uyayi ng mga ina. Ang palagi kong iniiwan sa inyo, magmasid, makialam, higit sa lahat ay manindigan. Dahil wala pong magmamahal sa Pilipino kung hindi ang Pilipino. Daghang salamat, maayong gabi kaninyong tanan.